Alright everybody, hello and welcome to the reserve team. As always, I am Shaun and this is the weekend recap. We might still be in the off season for the A-League and W-League seasons, but there is a tremendous amount of football content still coming your way via Soccer Twitter, friendly matches, different articles, different journalists all around the league, including on the reserveteam.com.au, and we're going to try and bring you the best of the week each and every Monday in these episodes. And we've got three fantastic stories for you this week as well. The first one, Fox Sports presents potentially a sensational backflip. Now, this is just speculation. There isn't any form of communication from the FFA or the Australian Professional Football Clubs Association or Fox Sports themselves relating to this story. We should open up with that early. But it's believed that Fox Sports are now apparently back interested in securing football broadcasting rights beyond the end of the current season. Now, a reminder for those that aren't perhaps familiar with the current scenario and situation, because of the impact of coronavirus and COVID and all that sort of stuff, we're on a 1 year or 1 season deal for the A-League broadcasting rights. With Fox Sports, their reluctance to, or part of that contract is actually that the league has to start before the end of this year, which is why we've got that weird December 27th kickoff date. Under that renegotiated agreement to try and help carry the league through the COVID-19 situation, Foxtel, and by way of Foxtel Fox Sports, they effectively reduced their input to the A-League by half. Initially, and I don't know the exact figures, it dropped from about 50 million to about 25 million, pending confirmation of what that actual figure is, which has a huge downstream effect, not just on the A-League clubs, but the W-League clubs as well, even the Youth League projects as well, as part of their percentage of that broadcasting deal. And it did mean that there was a slash to the salary cap, which dropped it by about 1.4 million for each of the clubs this season. Now, full disclosure, I don't believe all the clubs were using that full salary cap allocation anyway, due to their own requirements and budgets and trying to operate, outside of a loss each season. But some of the big clubs in the league definitely would have been up towards that level. And it's likely that our best clubs in the division, or our most self-sufficient clubs, I'm probably thinking more the 2 Melbourne clubs, the 2 Sydney clubs in that period, Perth as well, completing in the Asian Champions League. It meant they had to go and take what is a relatively decent squad and ask them to take wage cuts, which impacts the playing quality. A lot of the reason that we've seen a lot of the players go overseas to places like the Indian Super League, and why a lot of clubs haven't necessarily recruited as aggressively as they have in previous off seasons, is because they're working with a far reduced salary cap, and it can be very, very difficult now to provide a livable wage or to provide a working wage. If you can imagine being a professional footballer and you're living in a particular area and you had a 3 or 4 year contract with your club that you'd negotiated like a car loan for, or that you've got a mortgage or a family that you're trying to raise, and then a club's forcing you or asking you to try and take like a 20 to 30% wage cut in line with the reduction to first the Foxtel contribution and then the salary cap itself, like that's really challenging. That would be creating a lot of difficulty and a lot of strain for the playing group, outside of just the impact of the overall quality of the squads. Now, Soccer Twitter, football community can be a little bit doom or gloom at times. We have seen things saying that the A-League's dead, the W-League's dead, whatever else. There's still a lot happening in the A-League. There's still a lot to be tremendously excited about. We've been covering it on the channel in our season preview series. A lot of different fans around the league are incredibly excited about their prospects for the upcoming season. And looking back throughout history, football's gotten through worse things than, not having a TV rights deal. It's made its way through. Football is always, it feels like, being challenged, but it's never really down and out. Football will always persevere. Football will always get through it. The frustration, and again, I'm editorializing here because I do it every week and I just can't help myself, but Fox Sports are seemingly only back interested in football because they have lost the Super Rugby competition and their relationship with the Australian Rugby Union. That service has now moved to Stan Sports, which is going to be a soon to launch streaming service for Australian sports content. If they hadn't just lost all the Wallabies fixtures, if they hadn't just lost that Super Rugby competition, would they even be interested in the A-League itself? I don't think they would. I think they've got a gap now where they potentially thought they were going to have that Super Rugby competition. I think they were content and in an area where they believed it was fine that they could let go of the A-League and let go of Australian international football. And now effectively, because that's been taken away from them by a better competing service and what I think is future of football broadcasting, which is streaming services available outside of a pay TV subscription, which is what Foxtel is. Foxtel doesn't do the best job of getting its sport available on a streaming service online or via an app or anything like that. You have to have Foxtel. And you have to pay that subscription service and buy a whole bunch of different other channels just to watch the A-League each and every week, which is not the best model and not the easiest model, particularly when like My Football Live app is available as a streaming service on mobile phones. You can actually go to a game as a cheaper experience each month and each year. Overall, if you get, I think, the base layer of Foxtel plus their sports package, you would pay more each month than you would for a membership at an A-League club to go and watch the game live at each of their home matches, or to go and see it at a pub for their away games or whatever else. You can have better experiences than what Foxtel is potentially offering. In addition to that, they have consistently not represented Australian football in the most positive manner. Their W League coverage is horrific. Most W League games aren't available each and every week under the current broadcasting agreement, even though it is potentially the league in Australia with the most international representatives of any sport. We know how good the Matildas are. We're not showing them enough in the W League coverage. We're not showing the next up-and-coming young stars of the W League competition as well. They had severed their ties and cut their ties with football a long time ago. This isn't an opportunity that they've been working on for a long time. They were making plans to remove football from their coverage and from their content lineup quite a while ago, and it's only now the loss of Australian Rugby Union that they're starting to come back across and think of looking at it as a viable option again. I would think, or I would hope, or maybe we could put our faith in the FFA and the Australian Professional Football Clubs Association, that they know that and that they know that they are in a seller's market effectively, and they could name their price and name their demands, and they would have to consider going back to Fox Sports again, make sure that all the A-League games are live, make sure that they get to prioritise their fixturing, and if they do want to move to a winter season, that Foxtel has to go along with that. They'd have to make sure that all W League fixtures are shown each and every week, Youth League fixtures, if they're available. More content relating to shows, like you've seen just on our channel how simple and easy it is to get different people in a room and talk about topics in football, and to fill an hour's worth of content, or 90 minutes worth of content, or 2 hours worth of content each and every week. Do that for the A-League, do that for the W League, do that for the Youth League. I don't think there's many people outside of the Fox Sports organisation that would want to see Fox Sports continue as the main broadcast partner for football in Australia. Yes, they've done a tremendous job and they deserve credit for the initial input that they had into the league itself. The A-League wouldn't exist now 16 years down the track if it hadn't been for that initial Fox Sports investment way back when. But the reality is football has not been their priority for the last few seasons. And their model, that pay TV subscription service model, that's a bygone era. We don't consume our media like that anymore. Platforms like Netflix, like Stan, and even in the football realm like Optus Sport are far more prevalent and far more accessible for a variety of different football fans. And that's how we consume our matches. That's how we consume our media each and every week now. Football in Australia deserves better from its broadcasting partnership, and hopefully the next one that we sign, the next one that we find, puts us in a platform to go and continue to make the game bigger and better. But we can only hope. We will wait and see, and we'll see how it plays out. In more positive news, a fantastic story from the NPL Queensland over in Australia. Of course, NPL Queensland currently in their postseason finals competition. Lions FC, who you can see on the screen at the moment, had a big semi-final game against the Peninsula Power in that competition. The man in purple in the middle there holding the gloves in his hand, number 90, is Luke Borean. Apologies, Luke, if you're watching and I butchered the pronunciation of the name, but he's not the story today. He is the goalkeeper for this Lions FC side. He did have a very good performance in a 4-1 victory to put his side into the grand final, but the woman in the middle, his wife, Ellen Borean, is the true football hero this week and the true football hero at Lions FC. Saturday was not only the semi-final in the NPL Queensland competition, it was also their wedding day. So not long after tying the knot, completing their nuptials, I'm sure having a small celebration with family and friends, they made their way to this match to allow Luke to play in that semi-final contest, which might be the sweetest football story I think we've heard all throughout the year. Your wedding day, as you can imagine, is something that you plan for, maybe not directly until you meet the person, but, pretty much all your life. It's one of those memories that you want to have carried throughout the course of your relationship and, look back on fondly for the rest of your life. And usually that wedding corresponds with, like going and celebrating into the evening and having a big reception and whatever else. I think it's phenomenal that Ellen cared so much about her husband's love of the game, his want and desire to participate with his team in a big competition and potentially make that grand final, and was willing to put aside arguably the biggest days of either of their lives, their wedding day, to go and support her partner and to go and be there at the match. There's some fantastic photos, including this one that you can see here posing with the team, of her on the sidelines with him at the full-time whistle, all that sort of fantastic stuff. But what an incredibly kind, incredibly sweet thing to do for your partner, to let them go and play in an important football game on your wedding day. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And we wish Ellen and her new husband all the best for the future. We wish them a long and happy, healthy relationship together. And of course, a huge congratulations on their wedding as well. And in our main story, the Football Writers Festival took place this past weekend in Sydney with a variety of different luminaries from across the Australian football community. There were A-League club managers, international team managers, journalists from in and around a variety of different news organisations within the league, statisticians, authors, presenters, hosts. Simon Hill was there. If you scroll down this list, just a variety of fantastic people, CEOs of different A-League clubs, PFA members, Australian FFA board members, just a who's who of people in and around the football community at a variety of levels, including our very own overlord herself, Rose Valente. And they covered off throughout the day a variety of huge and important topics in and around Australian football. Rose participated in a roundtable with a variety of different prominent people in and around women's football about the opportunity that the World Cup in 2023 provides, not just to the local game, but to the Matildas and the football ferns participating in international leagues as well? And how do you make that World Cup count, not just beyond the tournament and the event itself, but how does it set up women's football for the next 10, 20 years in this country as well? It's already got really good participation rates, but how do we build on that World Cup opportunity and showcase Australian and New Zealand football to the world and get them the infrastructure that they deserve, get them that long-term legacy that we need to have for football in this country? If you're a community club member, if you are a women's football player, you've probably been at a variety of clubs where you go there and play your away games and they don't have female-specific changing rooms. Or you'll be on a backup pitch or a training pitch or whatever else. We'd really want to see football in Australia leveraging the success of the next World Cup to try and, resolve a lot of those issues at a community level, and then at a W League level, and then at an international level, and really trying to build something special for the game off the back of the first World Cup to take place in Australia and New Zealand. Rose did a fantastic job. If you didn't get to catch the live stream over the weekend, I think it will be up as a podcast or a video podcast in the next few weeks to see that fantastic content. You can head to the Football Writers Festival website as well to be brought up to date on all of the information relating to the different topics. There's a variety on there that you really want to check out, including a conversation with James Johnston, the CEO of Football Federation Australia, which really covered quite a lot of really exciting things for the future of Australian football, including like naming rights deals, a little bit about the broadcast deal, a whole bunch of fantastic things. It looks like Australian football is in good hands. Hopefully they make the right decisions and take the right steps to take the game to the next level. First, to get us through this difficult period. The pandemic is affecting football in different countries around the world in a variety of different ways, but then also giving us a really strong platform to leapfrog into the next World Cup and then take it beyond that and to another level after. You can see Rose just on that side of me there, posing with a few fans from around the footballing community. You might recognise a few familiar faces from the reserve team as well. But from myself, from the entire reserve team, Rose, we couldn't be prouder of you. Thank you so much for representing us. And hopefully, doing this little spiel on you, it renews my unpaid internship for another 12 months. That's the hope. That's the dream that we're going for. And as always, there's a variety of really great articles available on the reserveteam.com.au for you to go and check out this week. We've got fantastic breakdowns statistically by Nick Gerver on how to replace Adam Lafondra, Sydney's biggest question for this upcoming season. We've got 5 Olyroos we need to watch for this upcoming season, breakout players that you might see coming through in squads like your own by Kyle Robbins. Fantastic coverage of Sydney FC's game against Shanghai SIPG in the Asian Champions League by Stephen Paletti, and a variety of other articles coming up throughout the course of this week, including reserve team rankings, season previews for Wellington and Brisbane. There is a bunch of phenomenal content that's going to continue coming as we build up towards the A-League and W League seasons. If you want to check it out, make sure the reserveteam.com.au is the first place that you go and look for all of your news relating to anything Australian and New Zealand football. And as far as this channel is concerned, if you want to be kept up to date on all of our future videos, you can subscribe to the channel. If you've enjoyed this episode, you can drop a like on it. It helps it get higher in YouTube search results when people look for Australian and New Zealand football content. But more than anything, we just appreciate you guys watching. That's the part that means most to us. So from me, from everybody at the reserve team, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all again next time.